Hello, everyone, and welcome to Makai-World Reviews. This is episode number 67, and we are 2 weeks into a 5-week special where I'm looking at Lovecraft-adjacent movies. So not exactly, in particularly, or necessarily Lovecraft-related, but have some elements that were inspired or seemingly inspired by his works and world. I know that covers a lot of ground, but I got some interesting movies out of it, so what the hell. Last week we looked at a pretty entertaining movie called The Void. So we look at something a little less gory and a bit more esoteric, where I look at The Endless. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into that one. But of course, before we begin, please hit that subscribe button. I'm making great strides in this channel, and I want to get bigger and bigger till I can totally dominate the world. If you've read Dante's Inferno, I'm one of the lower circles, Dito no Makaya. So go ahead and help me out to move down lower. I want to get to the big man spot. The Endless, directed by Justin Benson and Aaron Moorehead. These guys are two peeds in a pod, as it were. They are also the main characters movie, so let's go ahead and skip over that line. They also did Resolution, which is a movie I rather liked. This is the spiritual sequel to that, as well as Synchronic, which is a movie I have not seen, is the third in the spiritual sequel thing here. Though I fully intend to see that one. And they're both working on the Moon Knight show for Disney, which, hey, good for them. I hope it's good. I like the Moon Knight character in a general sense. And I really love Oscar Isaac, so it might be one I actually watch. I don't think I've watched any of the Marvel films since Daredevil was canceled, honestly. Written by same guys, starring same guys. Release date April 6, 2018 in the full line wide release, which is what I try to go by. So, if you're watching this and you see that there's a different time of release date or something, know that I try to go by when it was released to the masses, not shown at a festival or, etc., etc. The Quiet Place came out the same week. Frankly, overrated but not all that bad horror movie by Jim from The Office, starring Jim from The Office, and Jim from The Office's wife, Emily Blunt, who I'm told is a great actress, but I've yet to actually see her in anything that I really liked. She's fine. It's fine. Aliens hate big noises. Got it. And Blockers, a comedy starring a bunch of unfunny people like Leslie Mann, Ike Barinholtz, and John Cena. That wasn't admittedly quite as bad as it could or should have been. It wasn't good, but it wasn't the worst movie I've seen like this. So yeah, it was what it was. Alright, the plot. We have two brothers, also known as Alien Invasion Tomato Monster Mexican Armada brothers, who are just regular brothers running in a van from an asteroid and all sorts of things. The movie. No, we have two brothers who get a package from the old cult they used to be a part of, and they decide, for some unknown reason, to go back to the cult for a visit. Great idea there. Now, when they go back, everyone in the cult has seemingly not aged and are super friendly. They are hiding something seemingly sinister, though not really. Aaron, the younger brother, is taken by the charms of the cult because that's what a cult does. And one of their members, Anna, seduces him, and Justin is resolved to leave after visiting. There's differences, and Justin leaves shortly after Aaron does as well, and they encounter a series of strange events, all centered around an ancient force and time bubbles. This is not the last time this month you will see time bubbles, to which they escape relatively unscathed. The relationship together renewed, and the cult laments the loss of their new captives, sacrifices, I don't know. So, okay, that's the sides of it. The movie presents itself as a far more complex, but I have another word for it. Boring. I'll do pros and cons for this. Pros. The presentation of the ultimate monstrosity is awesome. It's unseen. It's an elemental, purely Lovecraftian force. It's very cool. In fact, there's some really good visuals here in general overall. The visuals are the strongest aspect of the movie by a long shot, and they are good when we see them. It's not downplaying them at all, but I don't think I was disappointed with one singular visual. They all looked better than your average Hollywood blockbuster and worked on that level. Even at the end, when it ramped up, they took the care and the time to never make it look silly. In fact, the coolest part of the film is when the brothers are wandering through these time pocket things. We see an awesome, almost Cthulhu-like statue. That goes nowhere. None of the visual stuff goes anywhere, but it was awesome. This harkens back to their previous film by the two directors, Resolution, which is quite good, better than this. And we see characters from that movie. We see a scene with Justin in that movie. We see more of what the characters are doing. It's, for me, the best part of the film when we get to see this. I liked Resolution a lot, and I think this lacked a lot of the heart and chemistry of those characters in that film, but I'll get into that. I sadly don't have much else good to say, so let's go ahead and move on to the cons. All the characters are boring, interesting, disinteresting. Nothing about any of them is compelling. The best two in this was Anna and Justin as a far second. Anna was at least, she had something, good facial expressions. She played her part well. Though she did woeful little in the actual film, she was probably the strongest character outside of the monster that we don't see at all. So, and people from another fucking movie, I'm not counting them either, though. Hal should have been played by an older man. Hal was the head of the cult. He felt weak and ineffectual. The rest of the cult was utterly useless and not at all worth a damn to spend time on. Lizzie was presented like a Lovecraftian character with her nightmares. She would draw them and they were real. But that goes nowhere save a few visual, gags. Ultimately, it's flat. I don't even know the other members. A slow guy, and Beardo. So Guy, Slow Guy, Beardo are the other members of the cult. Fine. Aaron sucked. He was just there as a thing to get Justin to do things. And that was it. They could have had Justin alone. Aaron was just there to create a foil. They did these talking head scenes in the early part of the film with the brothers talking to a psychiatrist. It was just there for exposition and plot dumps. Like who they are. It didn't work. Come on, man. That's so cheesy. It's so cheap. Just look at the camera and literally tell us what the characters are about. It's piss poor. The cult isn't presented as evil or even bad or even shitty. They have mild parties. They make beer, which the beer plot didn't go anywhere. I thought the beer might have had something to do with something, but it didn't. And it didn't matter. They get raptured, but they're fine because of time. They were not good as antagonists because they were not very antagonistic to any degree that besides them being controlled by some unknown force, they didn't seem all that bad to know or to even live with, for God's sake. I'm sincerely finding it hard to find things to talk about in this film. It was really boring. Lots of long, drawn-out conversations, lampshaded with these visual things that, while appealing, didn't go anywhere. They aren't interesting by themselves and were given no real reason to care. No reason to want to care. I'd rather have hate a film than be bored by one, That's where I'm at. So let's go ahead and skip to the overall. Besides, also the soundtrack is boring, generic, and barely noticeable. I don't even know if I noticed the soundtrack. I thought I liked this movie when I came into it. I thought I did the first time I saw it, but I guess it's not good on a rewatch. I, in all due faith, can't recommend this film. I really like Resolution, so watch that. Maybe the parts from that in this, and skip the rest. It was just a really hard film to sit through. And in an hour and 45 minutes, it's not a short film to sit through, to mostly just listen to useless conversations in hopes something interesting will happen. Yeah, pretty disappointing. Pretty disappointing. Well, that was The Endless, and boy, did it feel endless. What did you think of my review? Did you like this movie? Did you like Resolution? Did you see their third film? I did not yet, like I said. Were you bored to sin by this movie? I literally couldn't stretch this out to 1,500 words. And normally my movie reviews are 2,000 words, so that's how little I had to say about this. But go ahead and let me know down below what you thought. Also, don't hesitate to check on my Patreon on what you want me to review. Don't forget to check out my Instagram. That's Demon Peaks, where I do daily Twin Peaks memes. Check out my podcast, The Dark Peaks Podcast, and YouTube here as well. Next week we keep on course with Mr. Lovecraft and his woes. So we check on Black Mountain Side. Thank you very much. This has been the Tony Makai, Master of Minds and Men, and goodbye.